Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing Doctor Who Season 2, Episode 3, The Well. There, of course, will be spoilers in this video, so be aware. I really enjoyed this one for the most part. It's not perfect, and it's certainly not as good as the story it's kind of a sequel to. And there are little nitpicks I have with it. I like the tone of it, especially in the first half, the mystery of it, the atmosphere, the tension, the building. It does a good time establishing that. I like their little spacesuits a lot. Not a lot of character development for the guest characters. I like them. I think the actors are doing them fine. Some of them are just kind of there. But there's a couple of them you kind of get an idea of their personalities. None of them are overly fleshed out. Again, you don't have the runtime of Classic Who to really expound on guest characters, although some of the modern series does a much better job with it. But I still like the cast well enough. I really like the girl, the deaf girl. I don't know the actress's name. I believe she's deaf in real life. I really liked her in this. Because you spend a lot of this episode, especially when you take into account, and I mean, the internet had kind of realized that this episode was a sequel to another episode before the episode aired. So knowing that, you don't know if you can trust this one girl, the one girl who survived everything that happened at this place originally. You're never quite sure if you can trust her or not through most of the episode. That's really good, and the actress does a really good job with her facial expressions. She does a lot of good acting non-verbally with her body language, and especially with the looks on her face. And some of that's good camera work, but some of that's just the actress is emoting well with her facial expressions. Huge shout out to her. She is very good in this. I like the exchanges between her and Belinda. I like the exchanges between her and the Doctor in this as well. The woman who's in charge, who's the really good shot, I like her. She's a little fleshed out, not very fleshed out. The guy who's kind of the second in command with the ears, he's fine. He's kind of one note, but he's fine. I feel like the actor's doing as much as he can with what he can. I like the way the station looks. It has that very industrial look to it, kind of like in The Impossible Planet, Satan Pit, the way the space station does, or kind of like the Nostromo from Alien. It has that very blue-collar look to it that I really enjoy. Just gives it a sense of realism to me. And then the mystery of what happened to people, why the mirrors are broken. That was a neat thing I wasn't expecting, the mirrors being... I always like situations where the mirrors are broken, because I always want to know why. That's kind of interesting to me, and the payoff for that doesn't quite work for me, but that's another story. So I enjoyed the building, them trying to recover the footage. I like the fact the Doctor got to use the psychic paper and it came in handy. I do like the fact the one guy who kept wanting to take command, basically, and did take command, he does add a little friction between the group there, which works really well, actually. It takes a little while to get to the reveal, but once we do get to the reveal, spoilers, that this is indeed a sequel to Midnight. Now, to be fair, I don't think Midnight ever needed a sequel. I think Midnight stands on its own very well. I used to not be a fan of Midnight, but my last rewatch, it really grew on me. It's a solid episode. That being said, this episode doesn't take away from Midnight. There's always that worry that if you do a sequel to a great episode, it might affect how good that previous episode is. It doesn't really, to me. It doesn't take away from Midnight. This episode, where we're once again assumedly dealing with the Midnight entity, still doesn't expound on it much. We don't get background. We still don't know a lot about this thing. It can do some other tricks, which is fine, because we never find out. The Midnight entity is such a mystery to us that we don't know what all it can do and can't do. We only see what it did in Midnight. I firmly believe it could do other stuff if it wanted. And the fact that this episode takes place 400,000 years later, it may have evolved, gained abilities, lost abilities. I like the fact that they still leave what it is a mystery. I did enjoy the scene when the Doctor realizes what he's dealing with. That whole build-up of, a star going supernova. The planet used to be made of diamond. What was the name of it? Well, back then it was called Midnight. And you even get that nice little cut of the 10th Doctor and, of course, the woman that got possessed, to where it really sends the point home to where, if you're not remembering which episode Midnight was, you're like, that one. And the Doctor realizing, while not knowing exactly what he's dealing with, what he's dealing with to an extent, and how he describes it as evil and vile. I love that. And again, you're never able to trust the one woman who is behind. You're never, because you don't know if she's being controlled, if everything she's saying is her, or if she's being controlled like a puppet, like Sky was in Midnight. So it relies on you having seen Midnight to where you don't know if you can trust the deaf girl in this or not. I do love the translation things there that you can put on and talk. I love that. I absolutely love that. That is such a fascinating idea. They need to invent that in real life. I mean, there's got to be somebody out there who can invent that in real life, where it translates like that. That's pretty neat. But watching the Doctor also be able to use sign language, because of course the Doctor is going to know sign language. I did enjoy that a lot. Now, that was a neat twist of how every time someone walked behind her, they'd get killed. Not just hurt, killed. Like, just everything broken. Now, the scene when a lot of people are getting killed at once feels messy. It feels like, all right, we've got too many extras. We need to trim down on the extras. So we're going to have this one little scene where just about everybody dies. It just happens a little too fast. I feel like that should have been a slower burn. And I did like that the beginning of the episode is a bit of a slow burn, building up the tension, the atmosphere. Does a good job of that. But I feel like everybody getting killed in like 30 seconds, that feels clunky to me. That feels very clunky. It's just, all right, we got to start whittling people down so we can get into the third act in the end game here. All you extras, go home. I just felt clunky. I did like the fact that the one woman had to take charge back and kill the old second in command just because he was getting everybody killed. And I like that it establishes early on that she's a really good shot when she activates the power in the well. And the explanation of something coming out of the well. So we know that that entity's been there for hundreds of thousands of years. What I would have more liked to know is when the enemy figured out who the Doctor is, because he has a different face. The creature never talked. The entity never talks in a language we can understand. Now, the scene when the Doctor's like, it knows my name. I wish that was expounded on more, because it looks like the Doctor's upset. I mean, of course he's crying. This Doctor always does. But at least this time, it works if this thing knows more about him than it should. Like when he says it knows my name, does he mean it knows he's the Doctor? Or does it actually know his name? Like you kind of realize, I kind of thought like this was like an agent of the Pantheon of the Gods, like a harbinger or something that knew more, this thing was more deadly than we thought. When he first says what's behind it, I thought there might have been like the Black Guardian or something controlling it. I felt like this thing might have known more about the Doctor and what was going on in the overall arc, and apparently not. The way it shifts people is interesting. Again, it operates very differently than it did in Midnight. I did not care for the exact ending. The bit when the one soldier that survived, the other soldier thinks she might see something on there. I don't like that they did that. I like that they left it ambiguous. Like, is it there? Is it not there? Instead of deliberately showing it move behind her and us going, oh, they got out. Because that really would have pissed me off. But, it leaves it open to where maybe the other soldier, the one looking at her, had read the report and was just a little skittish and paranoid because it sounds like a nightmare. And that maybe she was just a little uneasy and thought she saw something. I like the fact they left it open-ended, but I don't like the fact that they did it at all. I would have rather it just been the report at the end, the Doctor leaving, and it's over. And had a bit of a happier ending. I don't like that they hint the thing might have survived, but I do like the fact that they just hint at it without actually saying, yeah, it actually survived. I just don't like that. Especially considering the one woman went through so much trouble to throw herself down the well to get rid of it, which was a noble sacrifice. It was nice seeing Mrs. Flood again here in the future. I fully believe she's the Black Guardian. I fully believe she is going to be the modern Who version of the Black Guardian. I I wonder if she'll have the bird. I wonder if she'll be wearing Bruce. I wonder if she'll have Bruce on. The little bird hat. Jess calls him Bruce. But that's my pick. If I could pick who I think she is, I'm calling Black Guardian. I liked seeing her because now we've seen her in the past. We've seen her in the future. We know she can kind of go around. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing that was being done with Susan Twist, which is a little annoying. But I like Anita Dobson. I don't really know her from anything else, but I just like her performances in this. The bit with the Mercury and it being revealed and not wanting to be behind itself does feel a little anticlimactic to me. It's neat that they use the Mercury to reveal it, I guess, although that much mercury pouring down sounds very dangerous. And it's weird that it releases the girl. The rules there are really weird. I like the fact that a lot of people did manage to get away. And hopefully, again, the Midnight Entity wasn't there. I hope they actually got away. I hope the deaf girl got to see her daughter again. I like how she said thank you at the end. That's the only two pieces of sign language I know. I can say thank you and you're welcome. So I'm hoping people survived. I didn't want a horror Fang Rock situation where, everybody dies. I am glad you had about 3 or 4 of the guest cast get out in that initial one, including the deaf girl. And then it looked like the one girl who might have had it on her, hopefully she didn't. I like the idea that hopefully somebody survived. In my head canon, I'm going to just assume that it was the other soldier being paranoid, reading the report and thinking she saw something there. I'd rather them not, I want the people who survived on the ship to have survived on the ship. Shiragawa put in a good performance in this. I like his confidence. I love when the Doctor is confident. I mean, he was worried, concerned, even afraid at one point. He plays all of that well, but he never, unlike Whittaker, and he never felt on the back foot here. He always felt like he was, once he realized what was going on and assessing the situation, he was trying to find ways to solve it. And even including when he had the idea of what's behind it with the Mercury. So, and I really liked Belinda in this one. I can never remember the actress's name. I don't think I can pronounce it, so I never remember it. But I like her. She's good. I did enjoy her in this. She had some really good scenes in this, especially when her and the Doctor are separated. She had some really, really good scenes in there. And of course, she's the first one to realize something's wrong. So, yeah, I liked it. Is it S tier? No, not S tier. A tier? Once again, what I really like about this season is how visually impressive it's pulled off. This episode looks good. When they first land and they're walking on the surface, I think the sets look good. You can see where the money went this season. I think it's been directed well the whole season, and I think all 3 episodes have been very visually impressive. The stories have all been more B-tier stories for me. Enjoyable. We haven't had a bad story yet this season, but nothing that's been masterclass. We haven't had a Midnight episode, or a Blink, or a Gridlock, or an 11th Hour, or City of Death, Pyramids of Mars, Inferno, Spirit from Space. We haven't had one of those episodes yet, while still having good episodes. And I can handle that. You can give me a season of B, maybe some A-tier stories, no S-tier stories, but no bad stories. And that's a consistently good season for me. I'll take that sometimes. You could argue season 16 of Classic Who might not have any masterpieces in it, but it doesn't have a lot of bad stories in it. Kroll aside. We know Kroll is not that good. Kroll is not that good. But, the rest of the season's pretty consistently strong. Rebus Operation is great. Pirate Planet is great. Stones of Blood is great. Androids of Terror is pretty good. And even Armageddon Factor, I feel, is underrated. Certainly not A tier or B tier, maybe C tier, but it's enjoyable. And so I can handle a season like that where I don't necessarily get anything that's a masterpiece. But if I'm getting consistently good stories, especially considering most of modern Doctor Who is mixed bag seasons, especially pretty much every season since Series 5, with the exception of maybe Series 12, which is pretty consistently good aside from the finale. we get mixed bag seasons. So the idea of potentially, only 3 episodes in, getting a season where I'm getting B tier stories, maybe a C tier, maybe an A tier, but a season where I get good stories, not masterpieces, but all good stories. It's fine. I'll take that. That'll get me excited about a 3rd season. We'll have to see how the rest of the season pans out. But I found myself enjoying this one. Now, I don't know how this one is going to hold up on a rewatch. To be fair, Midnight took me years to appreciate. Years. We're talking over a decade to really appreciate. I used to not really like that episode much. It's really just been the past 2 or 3 years I've come around to Midnight. Now that I can finally approach it with my 10th Dr. Rose tint glasses off. Because the 10th Doctor was my solid number 2 for a long time, where he's more the middle of my list now. Troughton has shot up that list to number 2, with Pertwee at number 3. But I still find this one enjoyable. It works as a sequel because it does the one thing I never wanted to do. If you've ever heard me talk about Midnight, especially since my last reassessment of it, one of the reasons I've said Midnight works is that we don't know a lot about a Midnight entity. It's just called the Midnight Entity because we don't know what it's called. We don't know what its name is. We don't know its origin. We need to know none of these things. None of them. That's what makes this entity fascinating, is knowing nothing about it. And The Well does a good job of sticking to that. It operates differently, but they still don't give us a lot of backstory on it, what it is, what it's called. It still has that mysterious and malevolent, I think is the word I'm looking for, feel to it. It's just this evil, vile entity. And I do like the fact that The Well does that it doesn't try to explain what this thing is, because I feel like that would ruin the villain. Yeah, I think this one would be a little more enjoyable if the internet hadn't figured out it was a sequel to Midnight, but it still does it in a unique way. Is it as good as Midnight? No. Is it a bad story? No, not at all. I liked it. I thought it came across pretty well. So, The Well, what do you think of it? Comment down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down there. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Sam Venning, Unknown289, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I have a P.O. box down there as well. If there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review, love getting new stuff to put on the shelf. A link to the Amazon wishlist is down there. A link to the Amazon UK wishlist is down there as well. Check those out. Most importantly, thank you for watching.